Let's talk about FAI, or femoral acetabular impingement, which is also known as hip impingement. Or if you have any sort of hip pain that's just not going away, this video is for you. I have my own story with FAI. I actually had surgery on it back in 2019. I've never shared this story, even though my page revolves around exercise science. I've never even touched on the fact that I've had a hip surgery at the age of 19 to fix the impingement that I had in my hip. But when I was going through that time, it was a really dark time. It was really frustrating because I never could find any stories of like girls my age that could relate to what I was going through. I'm gonna explain how I'm feeling now. I got the surgery 6 years ago and what my outcome was, how I felt before the surgery, and the symptoms that I had. Your hip is a ball and socket joint. It should move pretty smoothly, but with femoral acetabular impingement, you'll have a little bit of an overgrowth on the head of your femur or on your acetabulum. I had both. And with time, whether it's walking, jumping, running, squatting, especially if you're an athlete that does a lot of movements that involve torsion of the hips, so like things like pitchers, goalies, dancers, sometimes soccer players, have that impingement, it can kind of hit every time you make those movements, and it can wear away at the cartilage in between. In the beginning, it felt just kind of like I pulled my hip flexor. There was some sort of issue in that area. It wasn't super intense. It was very chronic. So you don't just tear it in one go. Mine was kind of over time. Like squatting, well, especially squatting, running, jumping, even going up the stairs started to become kind of like this gnawing, sometimes sharp pain in my hip flexor area. Actually started to affect my ability to walk, and if I sat for long periods of time, I could feel it as well, where I'd have to kind of like extend my leg and release it. After seeing 3 doctors and 1 chiropractor, they all told me that I just had a pulled hip flexor, and then it wasn't getting better, so I finally got an MRI and an X-ray, and the X-ray showed that I had the overgrowth of my bone structure in my hips, and then it also showed that I had the tear on the MRI scan in my hip. I saw a surgeon and he kind of told me that the ball was in my court with deciding on what I wanted to do, but he did tell me that I can probably alleviate it and manage it, but that cartilage in your hip, once it's torn, will not heal on its own. You manage and see improvement through physical therapy, but it won't 100% heal. Doing so much research, and I mean like a psychotic amount of reading scholarly articles on the outcomes of hip surgeries, I did decide to get the surgery. It was probably the best decision that I could have made. At that point, I had missed a whole season of my sport, and it was really starting to affect my quality of life. Fast forward to now, I can do all the things that I couldn't prior to surgery. So I can squat again, I can twist my hip, I can lunge. The biggest things I've kind of made changes with is when I do squat, I'm a pretty tall person, so I don't go full depth just to kind of take some tension off my hip. Also just make sure that I stretch my hip out a lot, because if I don't, it will get tight pretty easily. These are my scars. So they've healed up pretty nicely. I've always thought they kind of look like little turtles, which is so random, but they're really not that noticeable from regular distance. There are 3 things outside of the surgery itself that I think made my outcome the most positive, and I'm going to tell you what those are right now.